have meetings in person throughout the year, or do you do it all by phone or email, or how does the governing board govern?
We have at least one face-to-face meeting, our midwinter meeting we call it, and that's very valuable and action-packed, as you can imagine. And then we have at least monthly phone calls that tend to go into the very wee hours of the morning on the East Coast.
Oh, sure, because you have to accommodate the West Coast people.
The West Coast people. And, of course, it's really critical that I mention our distinguished ICSOM legal counsel, Leonard Leibowitz, who is a legend in this field, to say the least, and who I'm very privileged to work with very closely.
Well, Bruce, we've been talking exclusively about you as ICSOM chair. Tell us a little bit about yourself as a bass player and what you like to do in life and your philosophy of whatever.
Well, I've always played the bass. Music has always been a great obsession of mine.
How old were you when you started?
Well, I was about 13 or 14.
I guess you can't play the bass when you're 5.
You have to wait till you're a certain size. I had a great teacher in the public schools in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he got me a fiberglass bass. And one time a hole got punched in it, so I took it down to the 17th Street surf shop and had the surfboard guys repair it. And I still have that bass. Yeah.
Can you still see the hole?
Yeah. They did an okay job, but it was the first one they'd ever done. I don't play it too much anymore, but
just for splash concerts.
That's right. Then I was fortunate. I had great teachers and great mentors, and I joined the Virginia Symphony when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And what was great about that is my parents were so supportive. Every musician has some story of parents who have made sacrifices to allow them to do. My parents were just incredible. I was in the orchestra before I was old enough to drive. So they had to drive me to every rehearsal.
You and the bass.
And me and the bass in their van. And I'd come out of Chrysler Hall in Norfolk, Virginia at 10 o'clock at night, and my mom and dad would be sitting there holding hands, waiting for me, listening to the radio. Then they also started driving me up to the Washington, D.C. area to study with the principal bass of the National Symphony at that time. And after that, I went to the Curtis Institute and then the New England Conservatory. Mm-hmm. And then in 1987, I joined the North Carolina Symphony.
What do you do when you're not traveling for ICSOM and playing the bass? Or do you have any time at all?
When would that be? I have to tell you honestly.
Think back to before you were ICSOM chair.
I have to tell you that there are days that being chair of ICSOM, compared with playing full-time in a major symphony orchestra, literally it's a 20-hour-a-day job. And I push myself as hard as I possibly can because I really believe in this message. I really believe in what these musicians are doing. In my travels, to see just how dedicated these musicians are to serving their communities, I never grow tired of doing this work. And there's a positive message that has to get out there, and I'm determined to get that message out.
Do you have any thoughts about how orchestras can get more of their symphony musicians involved in advocacy, involved in serving on committees? In other words, at some point you're going to want to step down and resume a life, and that certainly will be somebody in ICSOM ready to step up and take over your shoes. But how do you continue to get people coming in from the ranks to be willing to be ICSOM delegates and then be willing to serve on the governing board, or even just being willing to serve on an orchestra committee in their own orchestras?
There's no shortage of incredibly talented people out there that can do these jobs in progressively innovative ways. I don't fear for the future. I'm excited about the future. I think that people will invest in things that they're inspired to invest in. Mm-hmm. I think that's true of donors. I think it's true of boards. People will invest in things that are serving the citizenry, and they won't invest in things that they are repeatedly told are unsustainable. So the positive message of what is possible will bring people to this service, both in supporting the orchestra from the donors and for musicians to support the orchestra themselves. But there's no shortage of inspired and inspiring musicians out there who are eager to step up to promote not only their own orchestra, not only their own livelihood, but their communities and the arts in America as a whole.
So even so, the musicians who would say, it's my job to play the notes, it's the board's job to raise the money, there's obviously still some of our colleagues who firmly believe that. You have a sense that there are also many musicians who are willing to step up and serve on committees and take an active role in the advocacy that seems so important for our symphonies to survive.
Sure, those 2 points aren't mutually exclusive, though.
Okay.
I think it's true. We do play the notes and they do raise the money, but it doesn't mean that the board can't create an environment for a workplace that is conducive to great performance and great music making. Mm-hmm. I saw a memo from a manager one time who asked the orchestra to smile more. And I always thought that if you wanted...
He wrote a memo to the musicians to... Okay.
I always thought if you really wanted the orchestra to smile more, that creating a happy work environment would be the positive way to go. I think that all of our orchestras are microcosms of our community. And the way we can build those relationships is just to get to know each other better. The board, as I think I said earlier, the board should know the musicians should know the board, the musicians should know the staff.
Right.
All of these things are conducive to fostering a positive atmosphere for cooperation when we agree and positive debate when we don't, which is inevitable, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we live in a society that too frequently values discord over debate. But we can certainly change that and have honest debate and find our areas of agreement within our organizations.
Looking for common ground.
Absolutely. The boards and our audiences should feel a sense of ownership for their symphony. Mm-hmm. And in order to receive that, we have to reach out to them. We can't just ask them to show up and then donate their money. We have to invest in them as well as we ask them to invest in us.
Well, I want to thank you, Bruce, for agreeing to have Polyphonic interview. I think it's been a wonderful asset to all symphony musicians to have you as chair of ICSOM. Your message is one of hope and of community and of, indeed, finding common ground. So.
Well, you're very kind. It's a pleasure. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.